That's a gay-ass podcast.
What? That's a gay-ass podcast. What? A really, really, really gay podcast that we call That's a Gay-Ass Podcast.
That's a gay-ass name for a gay-ass podcast.
Welcome back to That's a Gay-Ass Podcast, the podcast that asks, whose fault is it that you're gay, babe? It is me, Eric Williams, and this week's guest is the CEO of Everything Gay. It is Tristan Schukraft. Listen to this. He owns Mistr, which is the platform that gives us all access to PrEP. He owns Tryst Hotels with locations in San Juan, Puerto Rico. He opened in Puerto Vallarta with an opening weekend that had every gay icon that you know imaginable. He's also opening up a Trist Hotel in Fire Island, among many other of his own businesses. And he owns the Abbey, the famous gay club in West Hollywood. This man is aspirational to a T, and at the end of the episode, you're going to hear some mile high stories that are just delicious. So enjoy this interview with Tristan Schukraft. Tristan is on That's a Gay-Ass Podcast, the CEO of Everything Gay. I have to tell you, Tristan, you were doing so much to give us gay experiences across the globe. And my gorgeous producer, Nathanael, and I were talking right before you logged on about our first gay bar experiences. We both grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, and mine was at a place called The Loading Zone.
The Loading Zone.
So tell me, do you...
What kind of bar was that?
It was on a bottoms drink for free and tops. No, I wish I would. It was That's truly, great. Actually, if I'm being really honest with you, Tristan, I first Googled like gay spaces in St. Louis, and it sent me to a coffee shop called Mocha Bees. And I walked in, and it was all the butchiest lesbians you've ever seen, and I was thrilled to be a part. But then Loading Zone, I saw my first twinks and daddies, so
more aligned with you.
A little bit with my personal mission. But Tristan, tell me, what was your first gay bar experience? Which one like became your gay bar home?
You know, my first very first gay bar experience was in the Netherlands. I was living there when I was 17, but my first in the US was the Abbey. So
full circle.
Full circle. I've been going there for 20 something years, and so when I bought the Abbey, it was kind of surreal, and it still feels a little surreal because I used to go there. I used to joke. I said, "Oh, $15, that's like a martini at the Abbey." And now I don't live in LA full time, so I'm missing out on all those free drinks.
Well, you're currently on a vacation right now. Are you, when you're like out for traveling for fun, are you still going to gay bars around the globe, or are you sort of like gay barred out because it's your work?
You know, I I always joke with the boyfriends. I'm like, I wish this could be our life every weekend, but it is. We party every weekend, every night. Like when I'm in LA, I go out like every night, Monday, Tuesday, every day of the week, because I'm not in LA that often. I mean, we have businesses all over, so it's a good time to kind of see how we're doing as a business, but also kind of understand what the competition's doing and just get the vibe for the community at large, right? So, no, right now we're in Granada. I don't think they have a gay scene here whatsoever. A couple days ago, we were in St. Lucia. So it's just, we're in our house on the beach, having fun.
Well, that's why it's so cool to talk to you, because it's rare I get to talk to somebody who sure is a very, very accomplished business person, but also you see the gay nightlife around the entire world. My dream is to be able to see places like, sure, Granada, St. Lucia, but also just like all of the countries that you've been to. In fact, in my gay ass research, I've seen that you've been to over 110 countries. At one point, you used to travel 600,000 miles a year, which is the equivalent of 30 hours a week on an airplane. Tell me, Tristan, do you have a go-to plane movie? Are you a Xanax and wine girly? How are we getting through the travels?
You know, my years ago, I was interviewed by Entrepreneur magazine. They're like, what's your secret? I'm like, sleep whenever you can. Don't stay up for the meal service, because then you'll stay up for the meal service and you can't sleep. But you're right. I used to travel like 30 hours a week. And yeah, I would spend 2 nights a week on an airplane. At that time, my very first company was based in Argentina, and I was living in LA, another Abbey story. And I was like, every Sunday I'd fly to Santiago, Chile, and I'd be so upset because everybody was doing Sunday, Monday at the Abbey, and I had to go to work. So obviously now I'm making up for lost time when it comes to partying in the gay culture. But
yeah, would you say that you're, as an adult, sort of living the bliss that you wish you could have done as a young person? Because we'll get into your herstory, but if your first gay bar was in the Netherlands, were you able to actually sort of embrace the gay part of yourself as a young person? Or do you feel like you're doing it more now to like take care of the younger gay person that's inside of you?
No, I think I always say, try to have fun as you go along, right? I mean, there's that whole concept of you work hard and then you retire at 55, now it's 65, maybe older. You know, when you go on a cruise or you do whatever activity when you're 55, it's not the same when you're doing it at 25. So I've always tried to have fun as I go along, but definitely owning iconic gay venues and traveling around the world to all these great gay events and having gay hotels is a part of my life that I always wanted, but I didn't necessarily know I was going to have. So yeah, I'm living my new gay life, I guess.
And God bless. I think that's a big part of this podcast is like the older we get, doing more of the things we actually want to do. Because I think as a young person, sure, we can have fun, but there's sometimes this expectation of doing things you feel like you're supposed to be doing. But I feel like the older you get, you're doing the things you actually want to do. So with that said, Tristan, I am going to ask you the famous Gay Ass Podcast question to find out your origin story, which is, whose fault is it that you're gay? Who do we blame, babe?
Who could I blame? I mean, maybe Madonna, but there's so many people I could point fingers to. But maybe Ricky Martin. I was in love with Ricky Martin for still in love with Ricky Martin. If you're listening, I'm still in love with you, Ricky Martin.
No, Ricky is a weekly listener. Wait, Tristan, the fact that you can name Ricky Martin as an origin story, and then I saw on your Instagram a photo of you with him at the relaunch of the Abbey. What was it like to take a picture next to your childhood crush?
Yeah, it was great. And when I first started dating my fiance almost 7 years ago, I said, listen, I'll tell you, as soon as I have an opportunity to leave you for Ricky Martin, I'm leaving you. And he goes, me too. And I'm like, well, how's that going to work? Who gets to him first, right? So here I am at the relaunch of the Abbey, and there's Ricky Martin, and I'm ready to propose, of course, at this point. And someone taps me on the shoulder and goes, Cher's here. And I go, sorry, Ricky Martin, I have to go. I'll be right back.
Okay, that's called the gay Sophie's choice.
But my fiance Melvin got to spend much more time with him than I did, but he didn't pop the question, I don't think.
Well, we're playing the long game. I think that it's okay to plant the seed, if you will.
Plant the seed, exactly.
Can we then talk about how it was to meet Cher? I mean, that's an ultimate gay person's dream,
right? Amazing, super nice. My parents got to meet her. And my dad, I guess I get the gift to gab from my father. So I said, Dad, like when you meet her, you're just like, you don't get to talk for like 20 minutes, just like 5 minutes. And they ended up talking, and I'm like, oh my God, we have to go, Dad. We have to go. Stop talking. But she ended up staying much longer, did a surprise performance. It was really an organic moment. And I think it was because she was enjoying talking to my father. So I won't fault him for talking too long.
Well, the picture is obviously she's one of those people that I even could never imagine meeting her, and the fact that I can talk to, I'm now 2 degrees from Cher thanks to you, so I am just like a very thankful queen. But I also want to talk about your dad, because you're such an amazing business person, and I, having this gay podcast and growing all of my projects, I really am inspired by someone like you, because I think it's tough as a gay person to feel that you can carry the same weight as the hetero dudes in the business world. But it seems like your dad gave you a lot of this confidence. In fact, one of your quotes you have is, you said, I have a lot of confidence because my parents were very supportive of everything I did. I think that's where, as a result of that, I have that confidence. So yeah, I'm very affectionate. Some have even called me needy. My dad would drop me off at high school every day and kiss me goodbye. I came from an affectionate family. Why do you think your dad was able to show this vulnerability with his children when so many other straight dads think that it's like makes them less of a man to show love to their kids?
I'm incredibly grateful. I mean, when people say they have a tough childhood, I try to relate, but I can't relate. I was, as you said, very affectionate, very supportive family. And my father did not actually have that. He was adopted several times when he was younger. So he actually had the opposite life that he gave me. So it is really inspiring that my father was able to raise the family and be affectionate, because he didn't have that himself. But I think really, if you have a support network, that's what really drives you through, right? Because a lot of people go, your life is so easy. Well, I mean, it wasn't always so easy. I mean, there's a lot of risk, and there's definitely times you go to a meeting or a presentation, you get shot down, and you think, oh my God, and it's that support network around you that kind of builds you back up and dust your shoulders off, so to speak, and gets you back out there. So
right. Well, that's what I say about the tough thing about the entertainment industry, but it's definitely about the business world too, is that a lot of times the world is trying to tell you what your value is. And then you have to, even if they're saying whether the meeting doesn't go well or the deal doesn't go through, that if despite that quote unquote failure, you yourself are not a failure. You have to have, whether it's that support system, the chosen family, or your own work as in growing your confidence, to at least tell yourself that other people's opinions or decisions do not dictate your own value. Because as a gay person growing these businesses, did you have an awakening of like, I want to be a boss ass bitch? Did you get it from your dad? What was like your origin story as being a business queen?
By the way, before we continue, your comment about failure, everyone fails, right? And every time you fail, it's a numbers game. Like, you're going to fail, and that makes you stronger and wiser and gives you the confidence to carry on. So I think I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and I go, you should be doing this. And I said, why aren't you doing that? And he's like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, you're afraid to fail. I'm like, or get shot down. Just go and try it, because right now, nothing. My mother always said, nothing ventured, nothing gained. You got to try it, and if you don't, at least you could say, I ran for West Hollywood City Council and I lost, and some people teased me, and you know, I thought, well, at least I tried to do it, right? I mean, I didn't make it, and at the time I was disappointed, but thank God I lost, because I've gone on to bigger and better things. And to your question about being a badass boss, or what did I want to do all of these things? I think I've always wanted to be successful. Money is nice, but to me, it's more about the challenge. I like a challenge. Like, I can go to corporate America, and I did a stint where I consulted for a corporation. And people who run corporations are there to get their bonus. They work themselves up the corporate ladder, and they don't want to jeopardize that. We're entrepreneurs, which I am. It's all about risk taking, and you're doing it because you may be a little addicted to the challenge and the thrill a little bit. But yeah, I like building businesses. And when I've gotten into several businesses because there was a void. I thought I could do something better. So that's how I got into the business of doing it. I mean, with Mistr, that was essentially, I wasn't looking for a business, but for the first time in a generation, we have, you know, a pill that can prevent HIV. And the generation before that, you know, pretty much got eradicated, didn't have that opportunity. So I think this generation owes it to the last generation that lost their lives to use all the tools in their toolbox, right? But everybody was having challenges getting on PrEP. And so I looked at it and go, how can I make this better? And then I helped 10 friends, 100 friends. And then it was like, okay, this is a full-time job. I need to automate that. And now we serve over 500,000 patients across the country. So it wasn't like a business I was looking to get into, but it was like, this could be done better. And so that's kind of what drives me.
Well, that's inspiring too, because it's like where you see the need, you think, why not me? Why should it not be me that's a part of fixing that, which also helps the full community? And it cannot be said how major of a contribution that is. And I think a lot of people know that you founded Mistr, but I don't know if a lot of people know that while living in Amsterdam, you actually lost a partner to AIDS. Did that influence your relationship at all with helping the community in gaining access to PrEP?
Yeah. So I actually didn't lose a partner to AIDS. My partner lost a friend of his to AIDS while we were together. But it was actually a couple, and they were in and out of hospitals. And here I am, 17. And it's kind of like a lot for a 17-year-old to kind of embrace. I mean, but it became the norm. And back at that time, people were quitting their jobs, selling their life insurance, buying a Mercedes, and traveling the world because they thought they would die. And a lot of them died, right? But some started living. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, shit, I guess I got to go back to work, which is a great alternative, right? But yes, going to the hospital every couple months with him and then finally dying, it definitely left an impact. And so many people, I'm 46, so I don't think I'm old, but I guess if you're 20, 46 is really old. So like people in their 20s and 30s, they didn't experience any of that, which is really great, right? I mean, who wants to experience that? And now with PrEP, they feel invincible, which is fantastic. But yeah, it was a terrible time that I luckily did not live through myself, but I definitely experienced at the tail end.
Oh, of course. It was really, I remember when PrEP was first coming out and there was all this controversy that if you were to take it, it meant that you were either a slut or that it was like some people were considering it like a bad thing. And I'm so happy that people like you have like made the access so widely available that huge benefits have become more apparent versus some like dumb, small-minded idiots who think that it means something bad about having sex.
Yeah. It's like parents who don't talk to their kids about sex, assuming they don't have sex. They're having sex. So you might as well embrace it and talk about it. And if you want to be a slut or a whore or social, however you want to define the term, you should live and do what you want to do. You talked about it earlier in the interview about are you living your best adult gay life or your young gay life? And I've always tried to really be true to who I am the whole time. And sometimes that's works for me and against me, but yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. And we use the word slut here with a very positive connotation. It's like something we celebrate. And I am in a new era of sluthood that I am thrilled that prep has been. I mean, honestly, when I was growing up, before I went to college, I've told this story that my parents gave me a sex talk that freaked me out. Basically, they made me feel that sex was, as a gay person, an immediate death sentence, and that any type of pleasure would equate to my misery. And when I first started taking prep, which was really just a few years ago, it radicalized me in the best way. It made me like see a world of opportunity. And so I think that, whether it's Mistr or you opening up these Trist Hotels and, investing in Fire Island, I think that like the reason why it's so exciting to have you on this podcast is because the whole point of this show is to embrace our fully realized gay lives without shame. And you're giving us a place and a way to do that. Do you, with all of this business that you've done, clearly you're an entrepreneur with all these different projects, but how do you deal with burnout? Because I have found that it's hard to find a balance with my personal life and my professional life. Have you figured out a way to find any balance, or are you still figuring it out?
People ask me, how do you have so much energy? And I don't know, I think I might have inherited that from my father as well. He has lots of energy. He didn't retire until he was 75. I enjoy what I do. I think when you enjoy what you're doing, it motivates you. If I didn't like what I was doing, I'd be miserable to get out of bed. So I've always wanted to, my retirement plan after watching The Birdcage was to own a hotel on the beach, and that would be my retirement. Somebody highlighted that it wasn't a hotel, it was a nightclub, but I have one of those too now. So check that box as well. But that was really my goal with the hotel, was to start something that I could relate to. I could be myself, be comfortable, and have a good time. But then, it's morphed into hotels, right? And preserving iconic spaces. And every day it's like a path. Both of those are really, at the end of the day, all the businesses have to make money, but it's a passion project, right? It kind of fell into my lap, so to speak. I wasn't looking to acquire all of these iconic institutions, but I have the ability to do so, and I'm eternally grateful that I'm in the position to do this. And that's what I work all the time, 7 days a week. If I'm having brunch at the Abbey, I'm looking around, the servers, and is everybody having a good time? I'm watching the drag queens. I'm one of my asset managers was asking about me at the pavilion in Fire Island the other night. It says, is Tristan there? And he said, yeah. Does he look like he has a good time? And he goes, yeah, I think he's having a great time. He goes, he's texting me the whole time about this, that, and the other. Make sure, don't think that he's not paying attention to everything that's going on in the club right now. So that's me.
Are you a scary
I love
boss?
work.
You don't seem to be scary at all, but there's like, you must carry a certain type of weight when you walk into your businesses. Like, is it giving Meryl Streep in Devil Wears Prada?
A little bit. She's definitely an aspiration. When people come and join my team, the ones, especially the ones that work immediately for me, I always ask them if they've seen The Devil Wears Prada and who their favorite character is. So if it's not Meryl Streep, probably not a good connection.
You can't aspire to be Andy Sachs. You want to be the badass. I mean, I'm such a Midwestern people pleaser that but I also love to be really ambitious and like get shit done in the way that I want to get it done. So I would love to continue. Like if Meryl Streep's character in Devil Wears Prada like sucked the blood of a pig, I would not say no to that cocktail.
Yeah. I like to say I'm very firm. I have high expectations, and I'm not going to change. I mean, it's not a democracy. This is like a dictatorship, so to speak, right? It's like, I'm in charge. I want things a certain way. And what I've learned over the years is the sooner you have people around you that share your vision. I don't surround myself with people that are dumb. I hire people that are smarter than me because I want to learn from them. And some leaders do the opposite, right? They like to hire people that will never replace them. And I always want to see my people have a long career with me. And if they want to do their own venture, I'd be very supportive of doing that, right? I think everybody has their own aspirations. But if somebody doesn't see your vision, then it's best to call it quits, because all you're going to be doing is debating what you want. And this is really what I want. I want my beach perfectly clean with, every morning. I don't care how much seaweed might be rolling onto the beach. I just want it clean. So
that's what I like about Tryst also. And my dream is one day to just be there, but also how cool would it be to do a gay ass podcast at a Trist Hotel? Or there's just there's so many opportunities you have for working with these gay businesses. And of course I can't help but fantasize, but because you are such a well-traveled queen, do you mind if I do some quick fire questions about your faves and takes about traveling around the globe?
Yeah, sure.
All right, Tristan, tell me, you've been to over 110 countries. Where are the hottest men?
The hottest men? Oh, gosh. I'd say New York and LA. Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? I take this back. Okay. I love Puerto Vallarta. So I would say Puerto Vallarta. You get all of Latin America. You get North America and Latin America all coming in one spot. So
is your fiance, is he from PV or what? I know he has Melbourne as a connection.
He's Colombian, but he was born in the U.S., lived in Colombia for 6 years as a child, then moved back to California. So he's actually Filipino, and so am I. So, and it's very rare. So many people in LA are not actually from LA. Yeah, we met there, but everyone always goes, "Oh, are you from Mexico?" And he's like, "I'm Colombian and I'm from the US."
No, I've seen that also in your interviews. And you're saying boyfriends plural. What's the current status?
Well, I have my forever fiance, Melvin, and then I have my boyfriends, Colombian, Mexican, Brazilian, Costa Rican, Mexican.
When's the TLC docuseries coming out? When do I get to see
the Boys Next Door?
7? Oh my God, the Boys Next Door. Are they all living in those countries that you listed, or is that their origin?
No, that's all their origin. We actually, most of us all live together. I mean, we're pretty much together all the time.
I want the television program.
Is America ready for a gay reality show?
They're ready for a good one. They've done I don't know if you ever watched Finding Prince Charming. It was tough. It was tough.
I mean,
but
listen, you watched it happen at the Abbey. It was terrible. I mean,
I didn't watch it.
Before my time, but it wasn't really authentic. I think, some of these reality shows, it's so scripted and they hire actors or whatever. If I ever do a reality show, it's going to be 100%
real,
authentic, real. And if you like it, you like it. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. But, and things have come so far since that show. I mean, I think that show was probably at least 10 years ago. So I think the world is much more accepting of gays in some aspects. And then in many regards, we're taking a huge step backwards, right? Unfortunately.
I know, but I do think you're right that pop culturally, what I do like that the direction we're going in is we're giving character actresses their due. I saw you photograph with Jean Smart also at the Abbey relaunch, and thank God that she's having
I love her. I love Hacks, by the way. If you ask, she's a little more cutthroat than I am, but if you notice her character, she's very hard on, her writer because she really cares about her writer, at the end, but she's done some shady stuff. I'm not so shady.
That's probably why you don't seem to be a shady queen, but you do seem to be a queen that knows what she wants. And Deborah Vance is the exact same. What about in my quickfire cues? Where would you say, besides your own gay bars, what place have you visited that has the best gay bars?
It's all I go to is my own gay bars. The best gay bars in the world, concentration wise, I'd say Puerto Vallarta because I don't really own any bars in Puerto Vallarta outside of my hotel, and I love going out in Puerto Vallarta because you can bar hop. There's 69, also known as the Tristan Center for Performing Arts. I like to support as much as possible. You got nightclubs, and you got tacos, which is kind of like, more Mexican. And that's what I really love. When I go out, I love to go bar hopping. I would say,
well, I moved to LA like 4 years ago, and I am embarrassed to say I've never been to PV. So every person I talk to is like, it's the spot.
well, it is the spot. And, it's great that you haven't been there because, it's just one more person who's going to come and love it. That's one thing about Puerto Vallarta is you could be young, old, gay, straight, rich, poor. Like everyone lives amongst each other. It's like an ideal example for the world. Like everybody gets along.
One of my other questions was going to be, where would you say are the nicest locals? Would you say PV is that place or somewhere else?
Oh, no, PV is very, very welcoming. I look at like West Hollywood, right? You got Boys Town. In Chicago, you have Boys Town too. But everybody's on vacation in Puerto Vallarta, right? So everybody's just inherently in a good mood. And then I think the Latin culture too is they're just so warm and welcoming as well, especially if you're older and white guy, they really welcome me.
And you say, gracias.
Gracias, exactly.
Speaking of being sort of adored, you were the Grand Marshal at Wilton Manor's Pride. Now, I, myself, love a daddy. Did you have to swat the daddies away, or were you like me and you welcomed their sweaty hands?
Well, you're talking about like what part of the gay cycle am I living now, right? When I was younger, I liked daddies. I've always liked Latinos, but I kind of like loved older guys. And then I don't know when the transition happened, maybe when I was 30, late 20s, 30s. And it's not that I'm into younger guys, it just happen to be younger guys because like I find people my age are not as fun and they don't have as much energy. So I'm just naturally drawn to younger guys. But yeah, I've given it a whirl. But
of course. That's also the fun part.
I'm still open to a sugar daddy. I mean, if there's a sugar daddy out there that wants to take care of me, I am totally okay. I do not need to be the guy in charge. I could sit back.
That's season 2 of your show is you're the daddy at first, and then there's a new sheriff in town. Ooh, we're coming up with plot points. Okay, one of my final travel cues. I've gone to nicest locals. Would you be willing to tell me where are the most rude locals?
Well, I just think naturally, if you think about in general, probably New York, but that's just because they're so frank, right? I mean, everybody says like New Yorkers are New Yorkers are real and LA are fake. The ones in LA are at least nicer about it. So,
well, that's also the inspiring thing about you is that you have experienced so many different places. And I think that gay people, part of the thing that's so great about our community is that we have such good taste. And I think that Trist Hotels, I've read that you've really trying to give a luxe experience to, sure, the gay community, but it's also open to all types. What would you say when you walk into a hotel is the first sign that you know she is luxe?
The attention to detail. Right. So, here in Granada, I was in St. Lucia. So I'm kind of doing, even though I'm on vacation, I'm still working because I'm always looking around like, what are they doing that I'm not doing? How could I improve my product? And the attention to detail and service. That's the hardest thing, right? Because you could, if your wall is dirty, you can paint the wall, right? But if your service sucks, that's going to be a problem. And I think personalizing the experience so that you feel welcome. I mean, that was really my motivation with Tryst Hotels is that, I was in a throuple for almost 2 years and they like, oh, you have a king bed. I'm like, uh-huh. And this even happened in Dubai and, where it's obviously frowned upon. And I was like, yeah, we want a king room. And then my boyfriends were like, oh, I think we should order separate rooms. But to me, it was like, I don't care. This is, you're going to deport me for having one king bed. But when you come to a Tryst Hotel, it's, if 3 people and that's all you can fit in your bed, I mean, hey, we won't judge you. But I was by the pool and you had a guy in a thong and then a drag queen in the pool. And this is just not what you're going to get at the Four Seasons. And my feeling is, why can't we have that Four Seasons Ritz-Carlton experience and still be like fun, easygoing, authentic with no judgment? So,
I mean, that's
really what my motivation, and selfishly, it's like, to me, Tryst Hotels is like, I look at it like my house, right? And every guest is a guest, like mi casa, su casa, right? So if you don't have a great experience, shame on me and shame on us. I always tell my staff, we're in the hospitality business. People are here. They worked all year. They get 1 week of vacation. It should be the best week ever, right? They're coming out to the Abbey. They're coming out to the Pavilion in Fire Island or Circle, Puerto Rico. Yeah, they could have stayed home and watched Netflix. Okay, so why are they out here spending money with this? Because they want a good time. They want to escape. They want to meet, their friends, or maybe meet new friends and have an experience. So,
well, also like you're saying, why not combine the sort of luxe, gorgeous hotel with the nightlife that our community loves so much? Because I think you're right that's not happening everywhere. But because I'm a gay journalist, when you mentioned the throuple and going to, was it Dubai? Were you in fact deported? Was the king bed throuple room honored? What happened?
My feeling, I don't know what the top tier of Hyatt is, but I was the top tier of Hyatt. I told my boyfriends, they're not going to report me. Okay. Trust me. They're just asking the question. They're not going to throw their best customer out. So then, with top tier status, you get to go to the little lounge, you get your free, evening cocktail or hors d'oeuvres. And so we go up there and the guy's pouring champagne. And I said, excuse me, do you know if there's any gay bars here? Like, my boyfriend's almost passed out. And I was like, what? I'm like, guy's obviously gay. And they're like, no, he's not. I can't believe you asked that question. And I was like, it wasn't like I blurted it out. It was just like, we were in the corner of the lounge. Nobody was around. A few minutes later, he came back with all these handwritten notes. So
ask and you shall receive.
Exactly.
But see, again, that's something that I don't know if you inherited it, if you grew that, because, I have been dealing a lot with like these feelings of like, we're told as gay people that we can be too much, whether it's like you're too loud, you're too expressive, like as I'm like flipping my wrists. But I think that you were able to have the feeling of, why not ask for what I want? And I think that that's probably, would you say that that's part of the reason you've been successful? It's because you're not afraid to like put into the world what you think you need or deserve?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even business-wise or personal, like if you're living a life not an authentic, true self, you're missing out. Because at the end of the day, what do you care about some front desk agent at a hotel in Dubai or receptionist in a lounge? You should be living your life. And I mean, there's certain things that you go to a cocktail party, you're not going to show up in a tank top. That's not because I don't like wearing a tank top all the time. I mean, you kind of curtail your personality for certain situations, but I don't think you should curtail your personality because you're gay and you're going to a straight venue.
Right. Well, that's, I think, partly why you have not only worked in these business ventures, but you've done some pretty incredible things in your personal life, including your proposal. I'd be remiss if I did not discuss the Antarctica of it all. You made history as most likely the first gay person to get engaged in the South Pole. Tell me, do you think you're the gay Santa now?
The gay Santa. That would be the North Pole, and I don't know, maybe.
But gays love the South Hole, if you will.
The South Hole, exactly. Amen to that. Yeah, it was my fiance said, in 4 years, if I don't get a ring, I'm moving on. I'm like, who are you moving on to? He goes, I got options. I'm like, I'm not offended. I'm just curious. What are these options? Right. And he found this ring and then told my secretary. And then she's like, it's so cute. You got to get it. And I'm like, oh, great. Now you involve the secretary. Now I got two people. And so we plan. Now, after today, I've been to 114 countries now. So I have to update my profile. And I've always wanted to go to Antarctica, and I thought, oh, what a perfect opportunity. Only 300 people a year go to the South Pole. So I think we're the only one that's ever proposed to the South Pole. I don't see any record, straight or gay, but the night before we go there, we're doing the safety briefing, and you can't have any of your body exposed. And you have to pick a partner because if your scarf goes down a little bit, you can get frostbite within like 30 seconds because it's minus 39 Celsius. So you're not allowed to wear jewelry. We're traveling with like a medical team. And I'm thinking, this proposal is going down. I mean, it's not going to happen, right? But they said, no, you can do it. You can do it. It's just, you have to be really quick. Luckily, there was no wind, but it was still minus, 39 degrees Celsius there. And I came up with this cute little proposal. I could have said anything I wanted because he had everything covered. I just got down on one knee and he figured out what was going on. He put the ring on. We took a photo. But even in that like 60 seconds, your fingers were burning. It felt like you scraped them on sandpaper.
Oh, so he put it on his actual finger, not just the glove.
He put it on his actual finger, and then you put 3 mittens on top. So he was very happy.
I can only imagine. I mean, she got the ring that she wanted, and in a place that no one else can say they've gotten engaged.
Exactly. And then I said, "Were you surprised?" He goes, "Yeah, I totally gave up on it." I'm like, "Well, I would have loved to have known that. Why didn't you tell me?"
He forgot to tell your secretary. That is an incredible story. It's like they say love is love, and you are showing that love is love in the South Pole and beyond. Now, here on Gay Ass Podcast, we also love to play a game called Slay or Nay, where I give you a random list of topics, and you tell me, Tristan, do you think they are a slay or are they a nay? Let's get into our first one. Tell me, slay or nay, calling an asshole a bussy?
Slay.
Guys who take dick pics in airplane bathrooms, slay or nay?
Well, I love airplanes, so I would say slay for sure. I'm obsessed with airplanes, but I don't understand what the obsession is about going to the bathroom and taking photos, but I'm all for it.
Okay, say that you're flying not private, and you and 2 of your boyfriends are in a row of 3. One of them wants to put their hand under the blanket. Yes, you're okay with that? No, you're too nervous.
I say no, let's go to the bathroom.
Well, and there we go, full circle.
I've flown millions and gazillions of miles in my life and never was a member of the Mile High Club until like 2 years ago.
Oh, well, Mazel Tov. That's a huge deal. Yeah. Did it feel as monumental as you wanted it to after you could say you were a Mile High Clubber?
Check. Oh yeah, I was very, very happy. And not only did I lose my virginity, my Mile High virginity, but it was with my both boyfriends. So it was like a throuple experience.
I mean,
so now how many people can say like they had a threesome on a plane, right? Not many.
I knew you would deliver.
But it was very nice. I won't mention the airline, but they have a very large bathroom first class with a shower. Okay. And so we do our thing, and then they wake you up and say, "Hey, would you like to shower? You booked your shower." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, but I guess how often do you get to have a shower on a plane?" So I'm like, "Okay, whatever." And I go to Melvin. I say, "We're going to go up to Brian. We're going to go take a shower. And you want to come?" He's like, "No, you guys go." Right. So then, I go first, and then you come after me. And the flight attendant goes, "Excuse me, sir." And I'm like, "Oh, we're busted. We're totally busted." And you know what she said? "Do you two need anything?" I'm like, "Nope, we're good. Thank you very much."
Wow, that's service.
That's service, right? And I think like at the end of the day, if I'm a flight attendant, what do I care? You paid to be up here. You want to go in the bathroom? I don't care.
There's definitely room, and I hope some of our true crime listeners can maybe drop in the comments, what airline do we think has the biggest bathrooms, complete with shower in first class? And I look forward to the day that I can confirm with my own Mile High experience. What about slay or nay, playing your Bluetooth speaker at a public beach?
I would say nay. Well, I do. I say I'm indifferent because, in Puerto Rico, we have music on our beach club there, and then people bring their music. And while I love their version of Madonna or Whitney or whatnot, I'm like, you're kind of interfering with my music. But we always travel with a speaker everywhere we go.
So that's a slay. What about people who are left-handed in honor of today's National Left-Handed Day? Slay or nay, do people with left-handedness deserve rights?
So I would say nay if you're sitting next to them in economy. It's miserable. My fiance is left-handed, and we were probably together for like 3 years before I even noticed this or it ever came up. But we were eating, and because he's using his left hand, I'm using my right hand. I was like, oh my God. Economy is so much worse than I ever thought. I knew it was bad. I just didn't know it was this bad. And you couldn't eat. And I'm like, wait, are you left-handed? And so now when we sit down, he's always got to be to the left of me. Otherwise, it just doesn't work.
Well, I myself am a part of the left-handed community, and I think it is important to set us up for success by placing us in this circumstance. You can put left-handers in a corner, the left corner. What about slay or nay, AI boyfriends, people who are falling in love with their AI, either chat things?
I mean, Whatever floats your boat. I can't imagine it for me. So I would say nay for me, but slay for you.
Nay for me, slay for you. The next top 40 hit. What about slay or nay saying nice to meet you in an email?
Slay. I do that all the time. Is that kosher? I mean,
No. It's just it came up on a Twitter question where someone was like anti, someone was very pro. So I thought I would see from a businesswoman herself what she thinks.
I always say nice to meet you in quotes, you know.
And then one of our final ones, slay or nay, lower back tattoos.
Depends how low on the back they are. I'm going to say nay for me because, you know, I don't have any tattoos, but I do like tattoos on other people.
I do too. I do. So if you were to see a tramp stamp, you would not be
a
anti.
Tweety bird on the lower back is definitely a nay, but you could probably have a nice lower back tattoo.
Yeah, and depending on how low, it could be like laurels around your pussy.
Like if you can read this, you're too close. We've discussed those tattoos internally here.
Oh, sure. Well, maybe, or also you could do like, you know, those, not to get too dirty, we usually save the dirtiness for the paywall on Substack, but you know, when people do like the check marks on how many loads they've had.
Yes. I think those are normally Sharpies because you have to reset at the end of the weekend, right? I think that would be a really bad idea. Well, the check boxes, maybe you can do that.
Oh, that's a good idea. I have a little
you wouldn't want to do the checks as, you know, it'd be misleading. No,
exactly. And we always want to start from square one so we can add as many.
Square one, no pun intended.
No pun intended. Well, listen.
Fire Island weekends? No, just kidding.
Speaking of Fire Island weekends, I have to say, if we go full circle with all of the businesses, all of the check marks on the backs, that you have done so many great things with Fire Island. I've been reading interviews with you about all of the different businesses that you are revitalizing, and it's just cannot be overstated what these businesses are doing for our community. And it's like, we want to continue to have spaces to really fucking flourish. Now, that being said, I want to ask you the final Gay Ass Podcast question, which is, if the world is ending, you could only save one character actress, who would you save?
Who would I save? Megan from Will and Grace. Karen Walker.
Megan Mullally.
She's my spirit animal. I'm supposed to be Karen Walker. See, I'm 46. I wanted to retire last year and live my life out as Karen Walker drinking martinis all day.
Oh my God. I mean, a bottle of wine with you and Karen Walker. It's also funny to me that you're referencing Karen Walker because she's like such like a Upper East Side queen. She's got what? It's her like husband Stanford. Stan? Is he like
Stanford?
Stan's like always on Death's Door, I feel like, at every episode. So maybe you'll end up getting your sugar daddy who just sort of lets you gallivant around, much like Karen Walker.
Yeah, but I'm going to make sure I'm in the will. I want to see the will.
Always and forever. Oh, and before we actually sign off, the Karen Walker of it all, Megan Mullally is such a good answer because not only is Karen Walker canon, but Megan Mullally herself has been in so many amazing TV shows and movies and Broadway. She was in the Grease revival on Broadway, and I saw her in Young Frankenstein on Broadway. You yourself were a producer on Drag the Musical. Are you someone that has always been into championing Broadway, or was that a recent fixture in your life?
I was 17, 18, and my first musical was Sunset Boulevard. And like, I fell in love with musicals and Broadway, and, Drag the Musical was a perfect fit because what I didn't realize actually at the time, it was a great story, a great cast. I mean, we won so many awards, but somebody pointed out to me that if you're not 18 or 21, really, you can't really see drag unless you're watching RuPaul's Drag Race because you can't go to bars, and that's where most of the drag shows are. So it opened up drag to a whole new audience and did really well. And then Liza Minnelli was my co-producer.
Oh, I saw.
Yeah. Which we were talking about younger boyfriends. I'm like, guys, guess what? Liza Minnelli. And you know what their question was? Who's that? I'm like, oh my God. I know.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you had to endure that
like
conversation.
Liza Minnelli.
Liza with a goddamn Z. Well, listen, Tristan, it has been such a pleasure to have you on. That's a gay ass podcast. The fact that we got stories about the Mile High Club, you kikiing with Cher and your amazing dad chatting her ear off, the businesses around the world. Will you please tell our listeners where to follow you and if there's anything you would like them to know as we send you off?
Well, you can follow me on Instagram on T Schukraft, Schukraft. And every time you go to a gay bar, you're having a drink there. It may seem insignificant, but what you really are doing is preserving that institution, not only for you and your friends, but for the next generation of gays. I know so many people say Grindr killed the gay bar. I don't believe in that. I think sometimes you like to order in and sometimes you like to go out. And I see it all the time. Somebody just, as you know, in the gay community, our friends are often our family. And if we don't have these spaces, it's hard to meet your new family. So go out there and support. Don't be a mean bitch. And now more than ever, we got to support each other, right?
100%. Can we all, as listeners and watchers, grab metaphoric hands and repeat the mantra, don't be a mean bitch. Tristan, bless you. You're doing the Lord's work. And I'll see you
doing God's work. Yes.
I'll see you at the gay bar, cocktail in hand.
Yes, I can't wait to welcome you to Puerto Vallarta. You're going to fall in love.
Can't wait. Thanks for listening to That's a Gay Ass Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode with the worldly Tristan Schukraft, leave a comment on YouTube if you're watching there, or click subscribe if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. I will also tell you the bonus episode we have this week is with Matt Risch. You can watch the first half of it on YouTube, and the rest is on Substack. He was in the original cast of Legally Blonde, the musical on Broadway. So we talk about what it was like to do that, especially during the search for Elle Woods on MTV, which did make me gay, along with amazing stories about how he met his boyfriend, which spans decades, and so much more other gossip. So please go check it out at Substack. And if you go and pay just $5 a month, you're going to help me quit my goddamn day job and do this full time. Imagine. I love you so much. I'll see you next week. Stay gay. Bye. You've been listening to That's a Gay Ass Podcast, hosted by me, Eric Williams. If you want to see and hear more, make sure you're subscribed to us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, or Patreon at Gay Ass Podcast. That's a Gay Ass Podcast is executive produced by Eric Williams and produced by Nathanael McClure. We'll see you next week.